Hi, everybody. Welcome to Kundalini Hour with Alan Steinfeld, myself, Shanti, and our special guest today is my dear friend, Deva Vidya. Deva Vidya is an ascension guide and a multi-dimensional healer. And I've known Deva for a lot of years. I don't know how many years. We met at a yoga festival, right, Deva?
At Ebal Fest. I think it was like in
Yes.
2012 or 2013.
Mm-hmm. And she was already doing a lot of healing work and shamanic work, right? Shamanic journeying and all of that at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then since then, I had a festival in my hometown in Pennsylvania here called Om Fest. And Deva presented at Om Fest, but also Deva had a Kundalini awakening at Om Fest. That was your first really feeling Kundalini awakening, right?
Oh yeah,
The
the
one that
first
you,
super powerful one. Mm-hmm.
and that was with Val Tignini, who will hopefully be a guest next week, I believe. And since then, Deva has been to several of my Shaktipat programs, and we have an interesting connection with the Divine Mother
Mm-hmm.
because we both started speaking the same language at the same time at one of my Shaktipat programs. So we have a really sweet connection with the Divine Mother. Deva works very closely with the Divine Mother and with the Divine Feminine, with her partner, Sharon Solar Sign. And their work is called Way of the Sacred. And I have a link to that in the description below. So welcome, Deva. We're happy
Thank
to have
you.
you.
Thank you.
Yes, great to meet you. I'm curious about the actual Kundalini awakening from Val. Like, what happened? Who were you before and who were you after that?
Well, can I give a little backstory first?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so I met, like Kai was saying, I met Kai at a festival. Probably it was either 2012 or 2013, and she started to invite me to her Shakti Pot gatherings. And little by little, like the first couple, maybe I didn't have so much of an effect, but then after a while, I started to feel things stirring, and I started to feel energy moving as I was doing these Shaktipat experiences with her. And before her festival, Om Fest, where I had this experience, I started to really feel the Kundalini starting to rise. So it started rising already before I actually had the full-blown experience. And I started to feel it moving up into my second chakra. And there was a lot of like sexual energy there, and it was moving and moving. And then somebody actually started to do some energy work with me, helping me move the energy from my second chakra up into my heart chakra. And that energy started to really move and start to just like, I started to feel so much incredible love. And I actually told Kai that day, I said, Kai, you know, I told her what was going on, and she's like, oh my God, Dave, I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited for you. I'm so happy for you. And then I didn't even know what I was getting into. So Kai came up to me and she's like, you have to meet Val and you have to do this experience because it's something that's going to be life-changing. So I just went. I didn't know what I was experiencing. I just went to this, this experience during that festival. And it was in the middle of a field right in front of the main stage. And there were many, many, many people there. And so she went around, she told us a little bit about what she was going to do, that she was going to touch our forehead and that we were going to fall back and there were going to be two people that would catch us. And so that was basically all I knew. And she said, don't worry, the energy will do what it's going to do. And I've had plenty of energy healings in my life, and I'm an energy healer myself. So I didn't expect what was going to happen. And so she came to me, she touched my forehead, I fell backwards, and I was laying with two other women on either side of me. And just trying to recall because it was a few years ago now. So a woman next to me, who actually turned out to be my partner later on, she started to breathe, and she started to do this breathing which activated breathing in me that was unique. So it just started to like come up, and it started to become stronger and stronger breath. And then that breath started to really like activate the Kundalini energy. And before I knew it, I was like, my whole body became activated. And I felt like there was like this portal that opened up in my belly cavity. So it was like from my solar plexus down to like, down to like in my pelvic bowl. And it felt like there was this portal that was like going down into the earth, and my whole body just started to undulate. And it was very, very powerful. It was a very incredible experience and a lot of energy. And what was really beautiful is that all the sisters that I bond with at this festival, they all gathered around me, and they all started giving me energy and sending me beautiful light and love. And it was a very, very beautiful experience. Some people were like, what is going on? Because it was not a private experience at all. There were hundreds of people there.
It was an interesting place to have that happen.
So that was the basis of it, I guess.
How long did that last? I'm just curious, because I guess it's different for everyone, but for you, how long did that awakening Shakti last for you?
It was lasting probably, I don't know, because when you're in it, you don't really know how long, but I would say it probably lasted anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes, I would think. It was very, it was like, undulating, and I was pulling the grass up, and I don't remember this because I was, fully in the experience, but people later on told me that when Val would come over to me and she was like using her hands, my whole body was like following her hands, like whatever she was doing, it was like, it was following the energy that she was doing in these big waves. So that was pretty interesting too.
But how were you different afterwards? But what was the change? I'm curious.
So what it was okay. So this was like when the Divine Mother just started coming into my life. And I had just finished, she had come into my life right before. And I was in this woman's drum circle. And that's probably when the Kundalini started to really awaken, was in this woman's drum circle. It was a really powerful drum circle. And I think it was the first all women's drum circle I had been in. I had been in many drum circles with co-ed, but never in all women. And she came into me, and it was like this fierce energy. And I had a medicine rattle with me, and I was just like it was like Kali energy. I was like going up to everybody going, with my rattle. It was so wild. And after that Kundalini, that experience with her at that time, I had the download of understanding that she wanted me to bring out this wild energy in other women, to awaken that energy in other women. So I had just taught a weekend retreat doing this work. But I was still a newbie, here I am, I'm just like trying to blind leading the blind, and I was just allowing the Divine Mother to channel through me. And so after this awakening that I had at Om Fest with Kai's festival, it was very much like she came in and she really centered in me. And so now I was a pure conduit for her to constantly use me as a channel, as a conduit to do this work. And so from then on, I never needed to know what I was going to do. I run retreats, I check out, I go in the background, I go, okay, Divine Mother, you come on in and you do the work through me. And that's really how my life has changed.
And that's so beautiful, because that's the way I work too. So we've really connected in that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really think that, I know and I believe that, you are a divine grace that came in to activate this energy in me. So I'm so grateful for you, Kai. I love you so much.
I love you too. A lot of magical things happen at Om Fest. So you met your partner, Sharon, who you are now doing the work with. at OmFest as well. And I didn't know that part about that. She started doing the breathing, which kind of activated you as well.
Yeah, I didn't meet her there. Actually, I'm the one that got her to play at OmFest
Oh,
for
okay.
but she and I were just like, you know, starting a friendship at that time. It was a very new friendship, and it was very interesting because she was having an experience, and her experience was not as intense as mine, but she was definitely having energy moving through her, and then that activated the energy within me.
Right. So go ahead, Alan.
No, I think it's great. So can you just call on the Divine Mother energy, or does it come through at certain moments of heightened, you know, activity around the planet? Talk about, I'm curious about that.
Okay, sure. I work very, very closely with the Divine Mother, and I'm constantly in conversation with her. So I can just call on her at any given time. Once I get centered, if I'm in like my head and I'm in my ego, or I'm in a frenetic place, then of course I have to really ground down, you know, and I connect with Mother Earth, and I connect with the cosmic divine energy, and I bring it into my heart, and then I ask her to come through. And then she, as soon as I'm centered in this place, then she can use me as that vessel and that vehicle.
But is it the same Divine Mother that Kai is bringing through? I mean, how do you two relate to each other's Divine Mothers?
Well, for me, and I'll
I say
kind of answer
absolutely, yes.
because we both probably have, I don't know what kind of answer she's going to have, but for me, there's Divine Mother is Divine Mother, and there's many aspects of the Divine Mother, right? So there's like the gentle, compassionate aspect of Kuan Yin, and there's the fierce, wild aspect of Kali, and so I can call upon any of those aspects, whatever is needed in that moment. So if I'm doing a healing session with somebody who has a lot of trauma that they're trying to heal, I'll bring in the energy of Kuan Yin. If there's somebody that has, you know, very dark energy that they want to release, then I'll bring in the energy of Kali. So there's different energies that I can call forth, or sometimes I don't even call them forth. I just ask her to bring forth whatever energy she wants to reveal.
And I say absolutely yes. And so Deva and I had an experience where, and this happens quite often, but she and Sharon had invited me to do Shaktipat at one of their retreats. And well, maybe you can tell the story better when you started speaking light language.
Okay. So that was, and that's another beautiful gift that I have received from my beautiful relationship with Kai and working with the Divine Mother energy is, so we had 30 women in my living room, and Kai was going around giving each person their individual time and their individual Shaktipat, and I was the last one. It took about 3 hours.
So it's a long one.
It was long, and I was just sitting there, and I kept feeling, like I said before, I was feeling that energy coming up. The energy's coming up. I could feel the energy leaving me and going out to the people that she was doing the energy work with. And when she came to me, and it was finally my turn, and she was speaking the light language and doing the energy work on me, I started to hear this voice in my head. And I would hear, like I was hearing these tonations of different voices. And I felt very safe at the time because I was in a group of women I knew really well, and I know Kai very well, and I trust Kai with my life and my heart. And so I started to say, well, you know what? I'm just gonna see what happens, and if I let this stuff come out of my mouth. And as I started to speak, it was like she and I were speaking at the same time, saying the same thing, and even having the same facial expressions and the same, if we would laugh at the same time. And everyone was so amazed. They were like watching us because it was like this, it's like mirroring of this energy. And it was just so beautiful. And that was my very first time speaking light language. And allowing that energy to come through. And now I use it all the time, constantly.
So to me, that's definitely, yes, it's the same mother. It's the same Shakti. It's the same energy.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
You guys could do a little, I mean, if it feels right.
Yeah, we'll do, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll come back through the same now, but it was then. We can do it if you. I'll call in mother.
Oh, you want to do it right now? In this
I don't know. Whenever you want to.
Or later, we could talk for a little bit, and then
Okay.
at the end, maybe you want to kind of zap people.
Zap, sure. That sounds fantastic. Love to zap them.
Okay. We'll keep them watching until the end.
Yeah.
So your work is this now? Because I don't really know that much about your work is doing and transmitting the energies and doing healings and.
Well, that's why I call myself a multidimensional healer, because I heal in many different dimensional ways. So I am an energy healer, like a hands-on energy healer. I also use a lot of shamanic practices. And then she always comes through. And so as I'm doing the different energy work or clearing work or the shamanic practice work, she'll come through and she'll be speaking and transmitting this energy language to the person I'm working on. So yes, so it's very much it's a very big part of my work.
So what is it that you find most interesting about working with the mother that you may not have imagined before doing this work?
Oh yeah. Well, I don't think I ever really imagined myself doing this work ever. I never imagined myself being a healer or channeling the Divine Mother or anything else for that matter. And so the question was, what do I find different?
No, most interesting, really.
Oh, most interesting. So when I am working with her and when she is channeling through me, I feel the most aligned and balanced that I am ever. I'm connected to my higher self. I'm connected to Gaia, and I am very, very much in my power. And she and I are working as this team, and it feels like I am completely on purpose. I know why I'm here and what I'm supposed to be doing here, and everything feels right. You know, when I'm not connected with her and I forget to connect with her, then things feel very different. They feel more chaotic and imbalanced.
I totally get that. And that's why I love to do sessions, because you just go into this like super high state, right?
Yeah.
Just connected and everything's perfect and divine. And
yeah, and you really can know. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say that you really know your true self. You know the essence of who you really are. So you were going to say something?
No, I was just saying, can't you live in that state all the time or not?
I could, but I'm human, and I wake up in the morning and I'm like, then I'm all of a sudden I'm thinking about all the stuff I'm supposed to be doing in the world, or what's going on over there in California, or what's going on over there, and all of a sudden the that aspect of the old energy comes in and starts to bring me into thoughts that take me off my center. And so that's my actual, and I'm glad you asked that, because this is something that I've been really working on, is how do I hold that presence at all times? How do I wake up and say, okay, I'm going to come into this place and I'm going to be working from this energy at all times. And so I'll let you know in a couple of months.
or years, So you were trained in shamanic practices, right? So I like this because you don't have the yogic Kundalini tradition as a background. So how would you put it into context, like this awakening that you had? If you weren't given the word Kundalini, how would you put it into context of what you did have as a background?
As a shamanic expression of it?
Shamanic or whatever else you were studying and knowing at that
Well, as I grow in my own spiritual practices, I get away from all of the labels of like shamanism and yoga and all that other stuff, right? And so for me, it's really about the multidimensional expressions of self. And so really connecting, like having this Kundalini awakening is like a portal. It's a portal into the opening up the multidimensional realms so that you can access them and really connecting with your higher selves and your higher expressions that connect directly to source. So right, we have our human self, and then we have our higher self, and then we have, you know, our I am Christed presence, and then we can go straight up into, you know, the central sun, the source prime creator energy. And so I feel like that is just like it's a portal. It goes right up. Yeah. Does that make sense?
My theory is, I don't know, it's just kind of, as you're talking, as I talk to people like Val and Ali Storm, it's like this person, Deva and Kai, and me, but we're all aspects. We're these beings, the mother, we're like a fragment of that. We are, that's my feeling. So this is sort of, it's like a tree, and we're like the branch, and that's like the trunk of this greater being. That's what I get about, you know, people who have these awakenings. They're true. So they start to identify more with the trunk of that great multidimensional being, and not so much the personality. I think does that make sense?
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense to me. Absolutely. It's like we're almost like the leaf, like we're like that little part of the tree, right? And like then we have the great spirit, and it branches out into two beautiful boughs, the divine feminine, divine masculine, and then all the branches of the different multidimensional selves. And then we are like that little, the human self is that little teeny piece, like the leaf. And so when we access that Kundalini, when that Kundalini opens, it lets that leaf remember that it's part of that bigger, greater experience of the tree.
Right. And what do we want to identify with? We could identify with the leaf and think that's everything, or we can identify with the tree and think, well, that's really who we are.
Right. And, you know, and that's a very profound way of looking at it too, because, you know, the leaf is very impermanent, right? The leaf is only going to be there for a short season, and then it's going to fall to the ground and decay. And so, but the tree is forever. The tree lasts, you know, let's just say it's an infinite being, right? So it's just, and it's connecting down with Mother Earth. It's connecting up with the sky. Yeah. So like when we see that we are more than this finite leaf, and that we're still part of this infinite being, even when the leaf falls, we're still part of this infinite being. I love that. That's a beautiful, I'm going to write a poem about that.
No, that did come to me. I think I was talking to Val about that, but it came to me when she was bringing something through, and I saw that. Well, you could identify with the personality, you can identify with the divine essence. And I think that's sort of why we're here, you know, on planet Earth in incarnation, is to transfer our identification from the small self to the big self. That's how I would say.
Yeah, and I really, like, I've never really thought about using the analogy of the tree in this way, and I really love that. I mean, I've had, like, you know, the analogy told to me about like being like a little wave in an ocean, but I really like this idea of the leaf and the tree. It really helps you to see the multidimensionality of it.
Yeah, write a poem. I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Thank you.
She also is a wonderful artist.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
writes
you, Kai.
poetry. So
Oh, you're an artist too, you're saying, Deva?
I'm a painter, and I also write songs. Sharon and I, my partner and I, have a band. It's called Way the Sacred. So that poem might turn into a song. Who knows?
I would love to hear that. I would definitely.
Yeah. I'll let you know when it's finished.
But does that make sense to you too, Kai, what I was saying?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the only thing that makes sense to me right now is identifying with that, the divine source, the tree, because there is nothing else. There just, I don't know, I'm at this point in my life where there just is nothing else. It just is that. And yes, and the leaves do fall off and they do die and our bodies will dissolve and leave us. And it's a profound sentiment.
How do you be a mother, a partner? I mean, that's the personal part. How do you do all that and not identify
I don't
with?
know. This is very funny because I was so busy yesterday, like trying to like arrange a guest for today because Deva came on. Thank you, Deva. Very last minute because who we thought was coming on wasn't able to. And trying to make Play-Doh with my daughter and do a little house clean. Like this is how my day goes, right? It's very all consuming. Let's put it that way. And my ex-husband, who I still live with, which is another interesting aspect of my life, was just like, I can't even believe people criticize you for not spending enough time on your spiritual work because you go, like if they would just talk to me, you go from morning till night. So I'm integrating it all, and obviously it's part of my lesson to learn how to integrate it all. But I'm usually very physically busy all day long, and this is so important to me. I wouldn't miss this for the world. Like being able to share this time with you and Deva is everything to me. So I fit it in, and my kids are just as important to me, you know. So it's
Are your kids like the small self and this, or is it the kids, the big self too? I mean, that's what I.
they're the big self too, because I think if I saw them as the small self, I wouldn't be able to put so much time and love and energy into that. So it's all part of it for me. They may not express it the way that you two are expressing it because they're children, but no, they're very much that. David knows my kids.
Yes, they're precious.
Yeah.
They're amazing beings. I think that they actually help you to see the big self because they are expressing it all the time just through their natural way of being, right?
Yes, and they point stuff out to me.
Mm-hmm.
If I get off center at all, they'll point it out to me pretty much immediately. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, are you working on that integration too then? Is that your wish?
Deva, I think he's talking.
Oh, are you talking to me or to Kai?
I was talking to Kai there because you
Oh,
sort of
what
that question, but I'm curious, Kai.
is what?
Is your goal to merge that and to just lose the personal self?
Yes, but I have to keep an aspect of my personal self for my children and for the life that I'm living, because that's what they expect. They expect me to be my greater self within my personal self. So, but they don't want me to lose my personal self. They want that aspect of me, but they also want it to be the highest version of me. So it challenges me constantly, and it's wonderful work that I'm doing. So because if I'm just sitting here with people who are really in their highest self and are doing the work, it's easy. But if I have to be the highest version of myself as a personality with my children and living in the world, like, you know, my teacher Danny says, they can do anything they want to you. They can crucify you, but you can't do that. You have to stay in the love. You have to stay in the grace. So it's a beautiful challenge. And I've been challenged lately by people. My brother has been challenging me. So, and other people have been really challenging me to stay in that aspect of myself.
Is that, I don't want to like, I mean, you might have a question, Deva, too, but I just wonder, is that something you ask for on a higher level, to be kind of challenged to be stronger in that?
I would think so, because it's pretty much my entire life it's been happening. So I would say yes. Yes, it's a constant challenge. And yes, I'm sure that I asked for it, because it's that rapid growth, you know? I know that I came in for rapid growth. I think Deva came in for rapid growth. Like, it's that, yes, constant, because when it starts to subside a little bit, then you go, okay, I'm ready for the next one. I don't know about you, Deva, but that's how
I always ask for ease, joy, and glory.
Oh, okay. I'm doing that now. I'm like, I've had enough of the intense stuff.
Let it all come in with ease, joy, and glory and fun. That's, we don't have to suffer through it, right?
But it hasn't always been that for you, has it?
Well, I've had serious dark night of the soul. That was the beginning of my awakening, and that was 2 years of hell. So that wasn't fun. But that's why I learned. I think I learned how to just ask for that, because I didn't want that ever again.
Was that way before the Kundalini awakening?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was like 2010, 2011. It was a very, very intense time in my life. And that's how I started to do the work that I do, just trying to help me to navigate through the darkness into the light. And so that was my journey into the light.
So do you have recommendations for people who are experiencing that? Because a lot of people that have contacted me either tell me that they're in that space, or I can tell by the way that they speak that they're in that space.
Right. Well, right now we're going through a collective dark night of the soul. So many, many, many people are going through that, and little mini ones, because of all these gates that are opening in the cosmos. So a lot of people are experiencing that. And to have somebody, to work with is very, very important, because you need to learn tools to navigate through the darkness. And so there's so many, working with the angelic realm and working with the family of light is extremely important. When I first started to learn how to navigate through the dark night of the soul, I was working with a woman who does, what does she do? Matrix energetics. And she said to me, have you ever invited your guides and angels into your life? And I'm like, no. She's like, they were all waiting for you to invite them in. And I was like, well, I didn't know that. No one ever told me. And so, so that's one part, is just like inviting them in and giving them permission to help you to work with them, and calling on them when you need help. And I think that is something that I work with constantly every day, is calling in that family of light and asking them to assist me and to protect me and to cleanse me and clear me of all the old, energy cords and attachments and whatever else is, in my field that's not helping me. So there's so many ways that we can navigate these times. Connecting to Gaia is a very, very important thing. So Mother Earth says Gaia is her ascended name, her goddess name. And so connecting to Gaia, going out and like being in natural water, sitting under a tree, allowing your spine to align with the energy of the tree and to ground down with the roots, and let the sun come and bring you that solar energy. There's just, the nature is so important, and there's so many people who are afraid of nature because society tells us that sunlight is not good for us, or that there's ticks out there. And this is something that we need to like overcome, because we're not meant to be in a house. We're meant to be in nature, bonding with all of that, even the ticks, because they have messages and medicine to give us. So
I know you're.
And Sharon and I have actually created, I'm sorry, I'll just say one thing. And then so she and I have actually started creating tools for ascension on our YouTube channel, The Way of the Sacred, but they were all free tools that we wanted to really help people in this time. So they're always welcome to go and use any of those, some great breathing techniques and cord cutting and different things like that.
Way of the Sacred.
That is
Yeah.
great. No, I love what you're saying because it's so sad sometimes if I'm in a like a small town walking down the street and I'm seeing people, the only window people have on the world is what's on their television. Or
Yeah.
they've
Yes.
lost that connection the to Gaia. And
Yeah.
but I am interested in what you're seeing coming, what visions you're seeing, what openings and portals and what's coming up for the future in your visions.
Well, what I really believe is coming and is happening, it's not even coming, we're right in the midst of it, is we are in the midst of a collective ascension, and everything, and we can see very clearly from the very beginning of this year 2020 vision, right, we're seeing more and more clearly who we are, who our governments and our government officials are, who these people that we made into, minor deities like celebrities and things like that, who they are, and how this is all not sustainable, not congruent with the truth, and that we really need to start to come inside and stop searching for answers outside of us, even in all of these stories. And I'm not going to mention any of them because there's just too many stupid stories that are being told, and some of them have truth in them, but they're truth, but they're also created to be distractions from this ascension. So there's a story here and there's a story here, and they're all conflicting with each other and arguing with each other. And what we really need to do is come inside, because that is the only place that we're going to find the truth. So we need to be that leaf that finds its way through that little twig that goes into the branch, that comes into the bough, that goes into the trunk of the tree and down into the roots, so that we can really connect with Mama Gaia and connect with the higher realms, so that we can know the real truth, not because somebody else is telling us this or somebody else is telling us this, but the truth that comes straight from the source. And so what I see is that there's a lot of dismantling of energies and belief systems and paradigms, and it's all going bye-bye. And this is a really important time to go inside, because when you see things that that you felt comfortable for you for so long, even if they were imprisoning you or abusing you, just like being in that relationship where you're in an abusive relationship, but you know what to expect there, so you're just going to stay there because it's easier to stay in the known than to leave and go out into the unknown where you don't know what is going on out there. So that's what's happening in the collective consciousness. I've actually felt it and really know it very, very intimately, because I felt it in my meditations, that's exactly what the collective consciousness is experiencing right now. It's afraid to go into that unknown. So it keeps trying to hold on to the stuff that was the old paradigm. And so really it's now my suggestion for people is to take a deep breath and to trust and just ride the wave and allow that stuff to go away, and let the new stuff that's coming forth, that beautiful heart-centered, loving connection with all that is, remembering who we truly are and who that person that's sitting in front of us is, even that tick, because it's all part of us, and that we're all a leaf on the tree, and we hurt one, we hurt all. So that was a lot of saying. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Deva. No, that was so beautiful.
It was.
Thank you. Yeah, I think about this all the time. This is something that's very, very dear to me. I'm actually here in Sedona. So if anyone's watching this in Sedona, I am starting to, for the last month or so, we are having New Earth gatherings and ascension support gatherings, so that we can all support each other. And I highly recommend that those people who are feeling these ascension symptoms and this this shift to bring together like-minded people and hold this space and just keep holding in the light, because that's what right now we need to do. There's a lot of energies out there that are vying for our attention and trying to distract us and trying to take us off that path of ascension and bring us back into the lower dimensions, into the lower frequencies. And so when we come together and we keep reminding each other of the this ascension and reminding each other of the higher frequencies, singing songs and prayer, and using sacred instruments like rattles and medicine drums, and holding space for each other to be vulnerable. This is so important right now.
Where is this in Sedona? If people are, where can they find that happening?
It's actually in a private residence, but they can go to, on Facebook, I made a Facebook page called New Earth Convergence. So they can either go to New Earth Convergence, they can go to Way of the Sacred, which is mine and Sharon's page, or they can find me, Deva Vidya, on Facebook. And it says I live in Shambhala, which I do, because Shambhala is the new earth. And so you can find me there. And just, message or us, and we'd be very, very happy to receive all of you. And I'm thinking actually of live streaming it. So if you don't live in Sedona, you can actually join the New Earth Convergence page, and then join us on live stream from there.
And you also mentioned the symptoms of ascension. I mean, I have my own, but what are you noticing in people as some of those symptoms? I'm curious.
Well, first, I guess I'll speak about my own, and then I can talk about others. For me, I get a lot of energy in my body. Sometimes I can't sleep at all because there's like this pulsating energy. Zoom, zoom, zoom. It feels crazy. There's a lot of people, including myself for many years now, has this like these ringings, these different like frequencies in our head that people think that they have tinnitus, which they actually, it's actually frequencies that are coming in. So I have like different sounds. Like I'll have a really high pierced sound here. There's like a singing bowl sound here, and like a little buzzing sound here. So those are normal. Those are normal ascension sounds. I always surround myself in a tube of white light and say that only that which resonates with the highest frequency of divine love and divine light is allowed within my field. So if there are other frequencies that are coming from non-benevolent things, they are not allowed within my field. And so another thing that's been coming up for me and for many, many people is childhood trauma. And so this is a time right now that I really am seeing that if we haven't dealt with this, this is the time. This is it. The time is now, and there's no more waiting. We have to go in, as scary as it is, and go in and face those things that really traumatized us, and heal it. And not just heal it, but to forgive it. And when I say forgive it, some people think forgive means, you have to make that person okay what they did. That's not what I mean. Forgiving is like releasing all of the energy that it has on you. So it's just giving it to Mama Earth, like letting it go, giving it to Mama Earth, giving it to Mama Earth, giving it to Mama Earth until it has no effect on you, so that when you think of that situation or that person, there's no more energy on it. It's just a neutral energy. And forgiving ourselves, because we hold a lot of energy about allowing ourselves to be in certain situations. So that's a lot of the work I've been doing with people these last few months, is really working with people to heal these childhood traumas.
Because
and they can be very deep traumas, and they could be something that seems small,
Right. No, I'm just saying, because they are in the way of the vibrational shift.
Absolutely. That's it, because it's very dense energy, and we're becoming lighter and lighter and crystalline energy, and so we can't become that crystalline energy. We can't become that light energy if we are still holding on to this very dense, heavy emotions and holding on to resentment or holding on to shame or guilt or any of those low frequency emotions. Yeah.
No, that's big. That's the inner work. And we all have it. We all have stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I've been going through. And the interesting thing is, like, this time is so interesting because you have this really heavy stuff coming up, but at the same time you have this amazing light coming in. And so
Yes.
it's this dual, it's not dual, but it feels dual, where you have the very, very intense highlight, and at the same time you have this extreme clearing. Like, that's what it's been for me.
Yeah. Well, I always say, I tell my students and my clients that, when you shine the light onto a room that hasn't been cleaned, and like in my case, 55 years, right? So if 55 years, the room has never been cleaned, and all of a sudden you bring the light into the room, well, there's going to be a lot of crap in that room that needs to be cleaned out that you never noticed before, right? There's going to be cobwebs, there's going to be rats, there's going to be all kinds of dirt. And so we need to, the light's coming in and it's just shining onto the things that need to be cleared out so that we can allow this place to be a pure container for the new frequencies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Somebody said, I just want to say hello, beautiful souls. Keep up with the good work. So thank you, Marilena.
Sweet. Beautiful.
So this is like a wave of ascension in a sense. I mean, we're going through it, but it doesn't look like it's going to stop. Or I don't know. What are you getting as far as this energy? Like, what kind of weather forecast do you see for it?
Well, okay. So sometimes I hesitate to say what I see because I don't want to trigger people, but
trigger away. This is your space to trigger away.
Okay, good. Well, what I see is that a dismantling of the entire reality. I really see that everything's coming down. The money system will come down. The banking systems. It's a time for us to really start to learn how to be self-sustainable, to have clean water available to us, to not rely on, just like how I said before, you can't rely on the stories, right? We also start to need to really be able to learn how to rely on sustaining ourselves. What happens one day if you turn on the faucet and no water is coming out? What happens one day you turn on the light and there's no more electricity? What happens if they just, there's no more money system? So why would people start to continue drilling for oil? Because the only reason to drill for oil is money, right? So now what are you going to do when you don't have fossil fuel? So these are things that we really need to start to think about. How do we go back to sustaining ourselves? And that's the first lesson that Divine Mother taught me when she came in that day at that drum circle. She said to me, you're all domesticated and you really need to learn how to sustain. And this was before I started thinking about this stuff and started getting these downloads and messages. Is just how domesticated we are, and so it's a beautiful thing because right now that domestication keeps us enslaved. There's a saying from a book I read way back when I was in college in the 80s, and it never left me. It said something, I'm going to paraphrase it. It said, if you want to control a cow, you give it a very large field to graze in. And what that means is it gives you give that animal the illusion of freedom, right? And so that's what we have. We have the illusion of freedom. But once we free ourselves from these these things that keep us domesticated, then we really truly become free. We don't have any of these things that keep us enslaved into debt and all these other things. And we can truly be sovereign and work on the land ourselves. No one owns the land. Everyone shares the land. No one owns, the water system. Everyone shares the water system. And we come in, we learn how to have a symbiotic relationship with each other, and realizing that, this competition or this separatism is not serving us. And that was another thing that was created to keep us enslaved in the system. And so we wake up and we see, okay, the separatism, this competition, this is mine and that's yours, and you can't use this because this is mine. That's all got to go away. And that we have to be like, no, this is what's in front of us is what we're going to use. And what I also see is that we'll start to learn more and more, or rather not learn, we'll start to acclimate more and more coming into the present moment. Because that's another thing that keeps us from being truly sovereign beings, is that we constantly are over here thinking about what happened to us in the past, or over here and being in fear of what's going to happen in the future. But when we're constantly in the present moment, thinking about what's happening, who's in front of me, and what I have in front of me, we're in a constant state of awe, and constantly in a constant state of wonder, because everything's always new and exciting in that moment. Mm-hmm. And we don't have anything to trigger the fear, or anything to trigger old memories, because we're in the present moment. So everything is always perfect and beautiful. And we always have what we need in that present moment. So that's where I see us going, is really releasing all of that old stuff that kept us enslaved, imprisoned in. And it seems fun, right? Sometimes I just want to sit down and watch TV, and I can't do it. That's a program that's created to keep us enslaved. Sometimes I just want to, I'm like, oh, I just want to keep going out and having dinners and enjoying. But these are all things that kept us like a caged animal. And so now it's time for us to release all of this. It's sort of like if you were a lion and you grew up your entire life in the cage in the zoo. They gave you everything you needed. You had a nice little area. We had some rocks over here and a little pond, and you had, they gave you fresh meat every day, and you have your little family that you hang out with. But then one day they open the gates, and now what are you going to do? You're going to stay in that little place where you were caged, and you had this little comfortable place, but you never got to really truly experience what it really meant to be a lion. Do you stay there, or do you go out and find your lion nature and find out how to be that powerful being that you've always been, but you couldn't express it because you were in that cage?
Well, and the funny thing is, what's happening now is the cage is starting to cave in on us. So we can't stay in it anymore.
Exactly.
Like, oh, wow, the walls are caving in. I'm not getting so much food anymore. I guess I better see what else is available. A year ago in April 2019, the Pleiadians came to me and gave me this whole message about, in the next 5 years, the economic system will be completely changed.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, it's going to be interesting to see how that happens. But it seems to be happening.
Well, I have a theory. Want to hear my theory?
Yeah.
So I really don't believe that there will be a money system anymore. I believe that we will go back to the way our ancestors navigated or worked through the world. I'm not really sure what word to use. So if Kai, for instance, you have something that I need, like I need you to help me to navigate in through this energy session. You'll be like, Deva, come on, let's go do it, right? And then, then Alan, you have something that you need from me, like for instance, like you need a piece of my art that I created, and I'm like, sure, here's a piece of art. It's not bartering. It's like, I have something that you need, I give it to you. If that person over there has chickens and they have eggs and I'm hungry, here's some eggs. Like, it's not a bartering system. It's just like, whenever I have something and you need it, and I can give it to you, or I can share it with you. And so that's how I see it happening, is that a barter system is still, what can you give me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's still very separatism. But it's like, when we're just constantly sharing what we have, we don't need any economic system. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I think the whole idea of consumerism was an invention of a kind of American culture. Everyone has to have their own toaster, their own car, their own bicycle. And it was to sell more products. It was just, I mean, why can't we, well, you know, we created that, but why can't we share anyway? So we're, you know, this is much more natural. We don't need 1,000 toasters or whatever. And it's just more organic, more loving, more sharing, more caring. This is the natural way of being, where you don't have to feed the corporate power structures anymore, and we can be more free.
And it makes so much sense, because when you give, your heart opens. So you're also in a place of receiving.
Right.
Yes.
So you give, and then you can allow yourself to receive.
Exactly. And it's just natural. It's not like we even have to think about it. Like, you know, for me right now, in my old, you know, my human 3D self that I was programmed to be since I was born, you know, when I give something, like, I have this, and I'm like, oh, Kai, let me give this to you. But still back in my mind somewhere, I'm like, oh, I'm going to give this to Kai. I'm not going to have it anymore. Right. You know, it's like, it's this like program of lack. That's what it is. And I really, really see that program of lack has been driving, you know, collective consciousness for so long. And that's what's changing too, is that program of lack is shifting. And the more that we ascend, that program of lack leaves. And now it's like, I'm always abundant. I always have what I want. So I have more than I need, and I can give it to you, you know?
So that's nice. So taking it back to the awakening, or what we're calling the Kundalini awakening, or the ascension process, then that naturally brings us into a state as the energy rises, open heart, more giving, more kind, more conscious. As the energy rises, we're more in the third eye, where we can connect with everything and everyone. We can't be so individual, because we're feeling everything that everybody else is feeling. It brings us into that state of oneness, which naturally allows us to be more sharing and caring.
Exactly. And we're already doing it. We're already all feeling. I know that my empathic, you know, gifts have been really like very, very activated because of like such intense emotion that's going on through the collective consciousness right now, that I really have to keep coming back in, calling in the light, because I'm feeling so much of the heaviness that's going on. So we are, you know, people don't know that because they don't know about being an empath or empathic nature. So they just think that this is their own stuff that they're feeling, but we are all feeling each other right now. And it's intense.
For sure. It's super intense. Did we lose Alan? I think we lost Alan.
Did we lose Alan?
What?
I don't see Alan's photo anymore.
I know. I think we lost him. Okay. He'll be back. I'm sure he'll be back. Richard, my friend Rich says hi from the UK.
Hi.
So, Deva, as you're exploring more and more your own awakening and coming into higher consciousness and coming more into your divine light body. So, Deva and I had a session last week where she really just embraced that, fully embraced her divine light body. I saw it. She stepped into the position of Queen King with the crown on, in the circle of light beings, as a part of the circle of light beings. Do you find that your energetic awakening is naturally just putting people around you? Because that's what I also find with the Kundalini awakening, the energy just naturally kind of spreads. Do you find that it just naturally, the more you come into it, it just naturally awakens the people around you, brings people into that state more and more?
I feel like what's happening is that more and more people are coming to me to teach them how to release the darkness and to be more in the light, and to give them the tools to do that, but they're and I am holding these new earth and ascension support groups, which is really helping people to really be in that, and song circles, which are really powerful too, because that raises the vibration.
Mhm.
And I think that I am more and more capable of holding the light. So yes, and I am able to be in a situation where there's a lot of like frenetic or disturbed energy, and bring that light to that. It actually happened yesterday. It was such a, what's the word? It was such a, what am I thinking of? I can't think of it. I'm just going to tell you what happened. So anyway, so we were at a store, and we have this little dog named Shambhala. He's adorable, and he's got my heart. I am totally in love with him. And we were at a store on a main highway kind of thing, like two lanes on either side, cars going really fast, big, huge Mack trucks passing by. And he got out of the car and started running towards the street. And I started, like, my old, like, crazy, like, chaotic self came out, and I was like, ah! And I'm like, what? And I'm like screaming, and I'm freaking out. And then all of a sudden, something told me, stop freaking out and just talk to him. And so I stopped and I said, Shambhala, would you like to go for a walk with me and mommy? And he just stopped and he looked at me and he waited there for me. Meanwhile, he kept running away from me before.
Right. Wow.
And so it was like something just shifted, like boom. And that's what the word I was looking for. So I could really see the shift in how I am able to react. This old program that I was living came out, and was activated, but then I was able to shift automatically and go into a completely different energy, and it was so beautiful. It was like, and he came to me, and I was just so grateful. I'm like, thank you thank you, higher self, for coming in, because if I would have kept freaking out, who knows what would have happened to that poor little dog.
I had a similar thing happen with my daughter, Lotus, this morning. She's going to these anger rages, and it's getting less and less, but she still gets upset sometimes. And she wanted me to make her more breakfast than I thought she could eat this morning. And I said, well, eat what we make, and then if you're still hungry, you can have more. And she started freaking out to the point where she didn't even want to eat what I made. And I could see myself wanting to go into a reactionary pattern. I said, no. And I did the same thing. I connected in. I said, God, how would you treat her right now in this moment? And I totally changed it around. And she shifted so quickly, so much more quickly than she normally would have. And I just went up to her and I said, Lotus, this is your old way of acting. You don't need to act this way anymore. And she heard me.
I love it.
I know, it was great. So
that's awesome.
Well, how old is she, Kai?
7.
And you're really helping her evolve, huh?
I don't know, but in that moment, by shifting my own energy, like Deva was saying with her dog, by shifting my own energy, she completely shifted, because I know if I had gone into that state, she would have gone, higher and higher into that state.
Wow. Nice.
That's what I do now. And this is another trigger. Here comes another trigger. Okay. So that's what I do when I go into the supermarket. I don't wear a mask. And so
because you don't believe it does anything, because it's kind of ridiculous anyway.
Half the people are wearing bandanas. It's ridiculous. It doesn't even make any sense. People are wearing belly dance masks that are see-through, and it's all another
or they
one
pull
of those.
Them down to talk. They pull them down to talk.
Yeah. Or they'll be wearing the mask, and then they'll pull it down to talk to you. Or a lot of people wear the mask below their nose, So they're still exhaling.
Well, I like that people wear the little plastic, like, you know, there's a space, like that's going to do something, you know, this little plastic barrier. I mean, you're breathing anyway, it's, yeah, I get it. But yeah.
So what I do is I go into the store, not on purpose. I refuse to wear the mask, first of all, because it actually is very detrimental to my health. I have restrained breathing as it is. So when I put that mask on just for a few minutes, I can't breathe properly. And it's really, really detrimental to my health. So, so I go into the supermarket without a mask on, and I can feel people's resentment, right? So what I do is I just light myself up and I smile at them and I shift my energy. So if I was going in there, like a lot of people who don't wear masks, they go in with like this anger and like, you know, almost like a fighting kind of thing, like, you know, us against them. And like, yeah, then you create this like us against them, like energy that's clashing. But I go in there and I smile at people and I say hello, and I'm filled with light and love, and it shifts the people in the environment. And no one treats me in a negative way. Everyone is really sweet to me. So it really is. It's when we come in and we show up in a higher frequency, we shift everyone around us.
Yeah, no, it's true. Well, so that's what they say. If we have enough people vibrating at that frequency, it could actually shift the planet. And I think something's happening. I think, you know.
I know we have enough people at this point.
Well,
and I think the big reminder to people is to tune into things like this. There are so many people right now doing this kind of work and putting it out there publicly. Don't scroll through the stuff that doesn't make you feel good. Turn it off, get rid of it, whatever. Just tune into this kind of thing. That's how we stay in the high vibes all day. It's not like it's not available. It's available.
But yeah, that's what Divine Mother told me. She told me for myself, and then I told my followers that she said, stop engaging in the stories. Don't read them. And if you're going to post something, just post it and leave. Don't go and scroll through the different stories. They're bringing you into low vibration, and we need to stay in the vibration of the highest realms. Keep lifting up higher and higher.
Yeah, that's what I think this whole crisis was about. Finding out what's valuable and you know, what we were saying before, what we need, what we don't need. We don't need to, or at least me, I'm talking about, I don't need to go out to a restaurant every night. We don't need to go shopping. I mean, all these extraneous things have so occupied us and kept us away from the essentials, you know, what we really are, the real essence. I forgot what you called it, but it was something you were expressing, the lionness, the lion, that's what you were saying. Our true nature, whatever that is. But we've been so programmed, we bought the program and we've been programmed and we're living the program.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, because a lot of that has been, programmed in us, that we need to go shopping. We need to do X, Y, and Z, whatever it is, watching our favorite TV show, all these things, so that we can keep being, led into this blinding spot and not see the true nature of our power. We are powerful beings of divine light. We are so much more than we know we are, and I know more than most people, but I still don't know who the power of who I am, but I can feel it, and I know it intuitively, and every day I get to experience a little bit more of that. So that's my prayer, is for everyone to awaken to that power and that love and that bliss and that incredible experience of being who they truly are, free from all of that junk that was created to distract us from knowing who we truly are. I can't hear you.
That's the collapse of the old system. That's That's your vision that you saw. We're letting all that go. So something new and decentralized out of cities maybe, and still stay connected like this. This is the new world. Perhaps.
Yes, and I'm very excited about it.
What did you
So
say?
I want to just say to people that, you know, when there's a shift, it feels sometimes like, you know, it feels a little scary. It can come in and can feel uncomfortable, and that's okay. You know, it's okay that we have that little bit of fear, but just keep calling in the light and keep asking for the truth and keep centered, like bringing the energy from Mama Gaia and from cosmic divine energy into the heart, and just really keep holding it there. And whenever you get scared, you know, really grounding into that place, because there's going to be times that things are going to feel a little funky. And it's important for us to remember that this is all good, because, you know, there was always chaos before a new order, right? So that's what we're going through.
Do you think it could happen? I mean, it's happening now, but it's going to take a while to rebuild the new structure, or do you think that can happen? I don't know. I mean, not that, who knows, but I'm just saying, what are you getting, if you're getting anything?
Well, there's a lot of cosmic energy that's assisting us. So there's a lot of light codes that are constantly coming in. And what I believe that's happening, what I'm intuitively getting, is that the light codes are shifting our brain waves and our thought patterns. And so that as we continue to receive these light codes, we are awakening. And the more that we awaken, the easier it is for us to embrace the new, you know. And so just really, so that's another thing, is just to really be open and to spend some time coming in, inviting those light codes to come in and to integrate through your system. And we can build something new faster than we think we can, you know, because of that.
Do you and Kai want to bring in some light code? I mean,
Sure.
Did you have a question, Kai, though, too?
No, I was going to say something, but it completely flew away, so it must not be important.
I would love to feel some light code infusions.
I would love that too, Deva. Let's do it.
Can
Alan, join us.
Can Zoom handle the two voices at the same time, or do we need them separately?
No, I think it can handle them both.
Just
okay,
we've done it before, and we've had more than one person talking, so the mother knows what she's doing.
Okay.
She'll do it however she wants. Mashirata nakro.
Tiko hona maleke na kitoko kona kalake. Taka on na kitikrin na kokin na kalako. Hat katoko makaleke di anako. Na krikosh ka na kidiko na kadiko makaleke hidion naka di atalade makatikitiri o totore nakala tutu tuturni nakatahana nakatotoro
Chunna hita guru garani. Aranda ariata krusha takarana sirata kramasarate kikaliata tanda gruta shrete kartanda arete shavakru arete shiva kramasansariata kru bringing it in guru kandare bringing it in bringing it in there it is Grundarite shavakram bringing it in Karate Shava Kurumasa Sariato, bringing it in, bringing it in, bringing it in. Tatanete. Dara. Dara.
Makatara Shoo, namakalehena katukuhona kaya takatalahalle tiririna makatutukona kaya tola. Atahana kade ato kumakalekishta kadakuna kati tiririato hola hayato maka. Makayato tiki nakalahet kukoha kati.
There it is. Neto.
Thank you.
Shoo.
Thank you.
Nete.
I feel a shift in vibration. Well, how, thank you. How can people find you again, Deva?
Well, they can find me on our website, wayofthesacred.com, and there's a page that's specifically about me. When you go to About Us and drop down, and there's Deva Vidya Shambhala. You can find me on Facebook at Deva Vidya or Way of the Sacred. And if you're interested in the New Earth work that we're doing, New Earth Convergence is on Facebook as well. So there's many ways of finding us. And also on YouTube, we have our own YouTube channel, which is music that we've written and recorded, which are very high vibrational music. We actually have an album coming out later this year. And
what's the YouTube channel? What's the channel? No, what's the channel?
I think the channel is just Way of the Sacred. I think it's YouTube Way of the Sacred. And we also have on that channel, we also have the ascension tools that we've uploaded for people to use to help them through this time, so they can find those there as well.
Great. Maybe I'll see you in Sedona.
Is Sharon around?
Reach out.
Is Sharon around? I was just going to have her peek in and say hi. Is Sharon there?
Sharon, no, she's not.
Okay.
Yeah, she's not here at the moment, but I will tell her that you asked about her.
All right.
And we actually might be having, we're planning on a retreat in Sedona. If anyone's interested to come here, it's going to be all about tools to the ascension. So if you're interested, please send us a message on our website or on Facebook.
Great. And people can find me at newrealities.com, youtube.com/newrealities. I'm having a Starseed conference Zoom tomorrow, and you could probably find that. Email me at newrealities@earthlink.net for information.
Ah, that sounds fun.
Yes. And Kai, what about you?
KaiShanti.com. It's my website. And my YouTube channel is Kai Shanti, Angel of Light, channeling God's love.
And we're going to do this every week because there's so many people awakening to this energy that, and there's some people who don't know that they've even awakened. And, you know, we are reminding people and showing what's possible and connecting the dots. That's part of what we're doing. So
yeah, so hopefully people that need to stumble upon this will.
Great. Thank you both.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Deva, so much.
Thank you both. Love you.
Love you.
Sending you so much love and light.
Thank you.
Thank you for your energy input.
It's beautiful.
Bye, Kai. Thanks. Be in touch.
Bye. Okay. Love.